And congratulations on such a great film. I honestly didn't really know where it was going to take me. And I started off thinking that it was going to be sort of in the style of a Liam Neeson revenge thriller, but it's nothing like that at all. And I get the sense that having seen this and having seen Men and Chicken as well, that you kind of enjoy taking audiences outside of their comfort zone. Am I right in that?
Absolutely, yeah. And I enjoy it myself when the directors do the same thing to me. So yes, I think that genres sometimes tend to get a little boring. Of course, a great genre movie that's done really well I love that. But I think there are other possibilities, to. It's like normally I say, genres are only there to sort of let us know what we're having. It's like, are we having Japanese, Italian, or whatever? And I like to do a sort of a buffet where you don't know what you're getting really.
So you have to wait till the next course comes along to find out.
Yeah.
So where does that desire to sort of unsettle audiences come from?
I honestly, I think it's because I primarily work as a screenwriter, and I've done a lot of scripts, almost 50 scripts, right, for other directors. And you do tend to, I can see it with my daughter too. Yeah, the young audience, they are, unless it's really well made, they are a bit fed up with the 3-act structure. Everybody knows what's going on. You know exactly where it's going. The comic sidekick will die here. You know all the rules. So I honestly think that, I think it's nice to bend the rules a little and try something new, because when you sit and do the same thing, everything becomes repetitive, and there are only so many ways you can tell a story if you keep to the 3-act structure. So I try to, not that the 3-act structure is in here, but definitely. But I try new ways to add something new, to surprise, because I think sometimes we forget how big an element the surprise is in movies. And a lot of very popular movies right now, they don't surprise you at all. You know exactly what you're getting, and you get it, and it's really well made, and they're huge successes. But I love it when I watch a movie that surprises me. So I guess that's why, the short answer.
And this one's got plenty of surprises. There is this very strong revenge element to the story, but there's also a large amount of a very dark comedy. And I wondered why you felt it was important to include humor in the story and to have most of it actually come from the characters themselves.
Well, it's the same in every movie I've made. I think for me, humor is, especially in tough times, I think I've had the most sort of, the nicest laughs I've had in real life is at funerals, actually, because this when somebody says something that lightens up the mood. And I actually think that's why we have humor. It is to sort of, when the world is unbearable, it's good to have humor. So for me to do characters with such a horrible tragedy like this, it would be, I really couldn't see it without humor.
And the thing is, with humor like that, yes, there is that sense of sort of lightening the mood and relief, but there's also that twinge of guilt, because you feel you shouldn't be laughing, really.
Yeah, and I know, and I really love that when I see a film with an audience. I really like that too. And I don't know if it's something. It's not sick or twisted. It's just, I think that the gap between it's basically it's your own thing, right? If you get guilt after you've laughed at something, there's something you need to work with. But I just put it out there. But that said, it is funny to see this film. If you see it with a young audience, we had test screenings with only people less than 20, and they laughed. They have no problem laughing at all the wrong places. As soon as you have people who have kids and have experienced more in life, you get this silence and this awkwardness at some moments, which is also interesting.
And one of the other surprises is that it's also really touching, which is not something that you expect. And actually, the most tender moments come from the character that you least expect. So presumably that's all part of keeping the audience on their toes as well.
Yeah, but this is something I started many years ago, because again, it's because of my work as a screenwriter, because it's very easy to get emotionally attached to somebody if you throw them in a wheelchair in scene one. That's very easy. So and I always try to do like characters that we are not necessarily in the beginning supposed to like, and then peel the layers. And this, I mean, I like that too, because sometimes these people actually, I know they're over the top, but they do exist, these people. But it's probably not. I mean, you probably wouldn't befriend many of them, but I sort of like to take persons that you would think, okay, that's that type, and then add layers and emotions. Yeah.
So where did the original idea come from for Riders of Justice? I mean, it almost sounds like it's one of those stories that has a sort of grain of truth in real life somewhere along the line.
Well, it doesn't. I have never been to Afghanistan or
I didn't mean you personally, but
No, I know. Well, I mean, it did come from like a personal, like a 40-year crisis. I've had my ups and downs, and I've always looked at when people are suffering from depressions. I always see, a lot of people have this fight with this, and it's interesting to see how people fight their way back and how they discover that they have no tools to connect with, for instance, their daughter or their. So I mean, the story, the idea came from Markus. A man who sort of is completely unaware of his own emotions and has to fight his way back. I think a lot of men in the 40s can relate to that. This is, of course, again, I mean, I turned up the volume, right? So it's, but that's where it started.
And I believe this is the 5th time that you've collaborated with Mads Mikkelsen. I wondered what the appeal was of working with him, and whether your working relationship has changed over time.
I actually not that much. It's a bit sad too. But I've worked with him. I also did a lot of scripts where he was in the movies. So I've had a lifelong. I think the second movie I did, Mads was in. So a short film. So it's just. You know what? He's the perfect actor. I love him. He's so good. And why would I use anybody else when I mean, he's just perfect. And every time I do write something for myself to direct, for some reason, he pops up in my head. So that's, but
is there any particular reason why he always pops up in your head? Is there one particular quality?
But honestly, because he is that type of actor that has the whole, I mean, he's physical. He has the perfect face. He's good at dialogue, and he's a team player. He takes responsibility for the whole movie. And I'm glad he's not hearing this, because he can't.
He'd be blushing.
He probably would be something else. But anyway, it's good. It's not good for him to hear this. So, but he's great.
It's certainly a collaboration that brings great things, certainly with this and Men and Chicken. And it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much. And like I say, I really enjoyed the film, so thank you.